Bexley, Ohio, and I'm a lifer in Bexley and a lifer in Columbus. Two-part answer. When I was 11 years old, I had braces put on by a friend of my father's, Dr. Jimmy Hall, who was an All-American basketball player, and Jimmy could sell Eskimos ice cubes. He was that enthusiastic about life and his profession. And I actually went to dental school because I wanted to become an orthodontist until I did an orthodontic rotation, and then I became more interested in oral surgery and general dentistry. But Jimmy is the one that really turned me on to it. I really enjoyed myself in college, and let's say I never learned how to study till I got into dental school. And I ended up teaching at the dental school part-time for 4 years. And one of the things I used to tell my students at that time was, when I first started in dental school, I got a 2.3 my first quarter, and I'd never gotten grades that low, but I could always cram before a test and get my B's or whatever. And then all of a sudden I had a oral pathology teacher who gave quizzes every single day. Well, I ended up studying for that class really hard every day, and I ended up getting an A in the course, and I loved it. The guy's name was Rudy Melfi, and because of him I went from a 2.3, and I think my last quarter GPA at my senior year was a 3.9. I was really interested in moving out west, and I actually subscribed to the Wickenburg Times, which is outside of Phoenix, Arizona. And when I was a senior, I visited Wickenburg and Phoenix, and it was 117 degrees. And when you're a Midwestern boy, unfortunately 117 degrees, and I love the West, doesn't cook. So I came back and I bought a practice, and I mean, when I say I bought a practice, it was almost non-existent, but I did get some equipment. I think I got like 50 patients, and that was at Bexley, Ohio. And it was a grind for the first 3 years I was in dental practice, because there was no advertising, and it was basically from scratch. And Bexley is a non-growth community. But I graduated in '74, and that's when I started my practice in Bexley, and obviously I'm still here. I think it's 10 to 15 years. I don't know exactly, but as one of our famous interviewees, Mark Bernsdorf, said, this study group is actually the gold standard study group, and this has affected me. I've gone to a couple of the Seattle Study Club meetings, but more importantly, the members in this study club are some of the best dentists in Columbus, Ohio. And there isn't a person in this study club that I can honestly say I haven't learned something from. Fabulous people, and we can ask them the tough questions. And unlike a lot of courses we go to, we have our meetings where we have failures and successes, and it's really unique in that you can learn what to do and what not to do. Well, I have a wonderful family. I have 3 adult children. They're all married, and each child has 2 children. So I have 6 boys that are, 6 grandchildren. 4 are boys, 2 are girls. Both girls have me wrapped around their fingers, but the boys do a pretty good job of that too. And a lot of our spare time, one lives in Cincinnati, so we go to Cincinnati for sports. Another lives in Naples, Florida, so we go there to babysit, and another, my daughter lives in Dallas, Texas, and so we go there to visit and babysit. As far as spare time, I go fishing. I love to go to Alaska. I've done that for about 27 years. I also play golf with friends, and yes, I've gotten a hole-in-one once, but fishing, golf, and family are the big 3 in my life.
And how long have you been married?
This year is actually my 50th wedding anniversary. Basically, I have what's called a concierge practice, and it's also very bread and butter. I do crown and bridge, I do some extractions, I do some root canals. I have specialists that I really like to use a lot. But I think what also sets me apart is I have a tremendous staff. And these people, most of them have all been with me for a very long time. There are all kinds of marketing strategies, but one of the things that I found the most effective of everything is that you not only live in a community, but you got to be part of the community. But when you get out in the community, that's the best way to both meet people and build people's trust in you so that they come word of mouth, and I don't care what they say as far as paper advertising, and yes, people do see you in today's world through the internet. But when you meet someone, that creates an effective bond and actually encourages it to come into your practice. It's mentoring. I've had probably 5 different students who, from high school or college, that came in through my office who've actually become dentists who work for me for part-time. I've had other patients who ended up going into hygiene, and for Dr. McCarthy, I have actually one of my patients who I helped put through hygiene school is a superb hygienist for Dr. McCarthy's practice. But I really enjoy doing that. And I thought hard about this question, and all I can say is computers. The things that we do, we now take impressions with our computers, we do marketing with our computers, we do ordering with our computers, we do research, we take classes with our computers, and there are so many things. We can all mention dental supplies and dental products and intraoral cameras, but when I thought about the answer to this question, computers ended up kind of floating to the top. Take vacations with your family. Take them whenever you can. The one thing I found is that when you're younger, you're more involved in building the practice. You're working your rear end off, and sometimes you put your family in a little bit second. But the family, they grow up in a hurry. It's a fabulous thing, and if you take a vacation, your practice is still going to be there when you get back. I like to say patience. And dentists are type A personalities, and sometimes patience is a learned quality, but you have to have patience with your patients, you have to have patience with your staff, patience with your family, and patience with your relationships. And I think the more patient that you can be, that helps build a solid foundation for the rest of your life. I said Winston Churchill on this. I didn't keep it religious or anything. But he was a fabulous, I had an opportunity to go to England, and we saw the Winston Churchill Museum next to the war museums. And then I also saw the movie, I think it was last year, and he was a fabulously interesting gentleman for someone who ostensibly may have been a functional alcoholic. This negativity turns me off. I have 2 of them. I have a condominium in Florida, and I go there now. My son lives there, so it's not only a vacation spot, but it's a family spot. And then I've gone fishing in Kodiak Island, Alaska, and I've done that 27 years. And this is something that I started to go with. My father's now deceased, but I went with my father for 23 years. He was 93 years old the last time I took him fishing. The very fabulous thing about this is the last 8 years of his life, I took both my sons, my adult sons, and I had an opportunity also to take my one son-in-law. And so we all got to fish together. I'd like to catch bonefish on a fly rod. I would love to someday travel across the United States for 6 to 8 weeks in like one of those 40-foot mobile homes, where I wasn't in any big hurry, and I could, if I wanted to stop here for a week or so, I could do so. I would actually love to meet Babe Ruth. And I wrote down Billie Jean King. Now, probably half the people in this group or more don't know who Billie Jean King is, but she was one of the first famous professional women tennis players. But the neat thing about her is, for all the women dentists out there, is that she created the idea of financial equality amongst men and women, and because she did it in a sports venue, she was fabulous. Basically, I love Western movies, and Sergio Leone not only with music, but the script and everything, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Clint Eastwood. And that was fabulous, but he also had a trilogy, and that's what made Clint Eastwood famous. My other favorite movie, you almost have to say it in the same breath, a guy by the name of John Ford. He did The Searchers with John Wayne. And that was one of the photography, and that was excellent. But I love Western movies. What I would love to do is have term limits. And so my favorite politician is a retired one. Those are my grandchildren. And I guess you could say they're funny because they are true. When something is funny to a child, they can get you laughing. And there is no jadedness to their humor. I love a 65 GTO. I had a 65 Chevy Impala Chevelle up until about 3 years ago. Love old classic cars.